Hello everyone. In this video I'm going to be showing you how you can rotate images using GIMP. And you'll see here that I have an image of a t-shirt design that I created, and when I was working with it and setting up the files for using it on other products besides t-shirts, some of the products were landscape oriented. Like for example, a mouse pad. You don't have to use a mouse pad in landscape orientation. You can also use it in portrait. But the file upload was oriented as if it was landscape. So I had to rotate the image in order to make it fit the area for the upload. So I thought, hey, why not do a video on how to rotate images using GIMP? So that's what I'm going to show you today. So you'll see here that I have this image that's wider than it is tall. But let's say I wanted to rotate that, and in this case you can see exactly why I would want to rotate it. How would I do that? Well, it's very simple. You just select the layer that you want to work with, and you come up here to actually you can do transform, and you can rotate the layer. See right here, you can rotate it either 90 degrees counterclockwise, rotate it 90 degrees clockwise, 180 degrees, or you can rotate it an arbitrary rotation. The same settings are in the image menu. If you come down here to transform, in the image menu you have the exact same options. You can rotate it clockwise, counterclockwise, 90 degrees each, 180 degrees, or you can arbitrarily rotate it however you want. So I'm going to show you both examples, and I will highlight the difference between the two. Now, if you've seen the other video that I did on resizing an image, you understand that a layer is different than an image. For example, if I just create another layer and put it over here underneath this one, you'll see that whatever I do to this layer doesn't necessarily affect this one below it. So let's start with rotating a layer. You select the layer, you come up to the layer menu and click it, then you come down to transform, and let's say we want to rotate this clockwise 90 degrees. That should make it stand upright. So if I click that, it does. Now what do you notice? Obviously parts of it are hanging off of the edge, and that's because we didn't rotate the whole image, we just rotated a layer. And because the canvas is wider than it is tall, we don't have room for this. Now there are some cases where you will want to just rotate a layer and only a layer. For example, let's say I had two of these that were the same and I wanted to put them side by side. I could, just to set that up, let me duplicate it, and then I'll show you what I'm talking about. So now if we wanted to rotate this layer, right, we would click on it to select it, and then come up here to layer, transform, rotate 90 degrees clockwise. Then I can grab my move tool and just slide it over here like that. And actually that doesn't even fit all the way, so I would still have to scale it down, scale down the layer. But just to show you what I'm talking about, if I select the other one and then rotate that layer 90 degrees clockwise, and then move it, right, you get the idea. I have the same thing side by side because I rotated both of those layers. So that's just an example of a scenario where you may end up wanting to rotate only a layer. Now the thing I want to show you is since these menus are exactly the same, I'm just going to show you the rest of this in the image, but I wanted you to see the difference between rotating a layer, which is only going to rotate part of the image, and then rotating the whole image. So I think I'll leave this on 2 separate layers as we do the rest of this, but because it'll show you, now that you've seen what happens when you rotate one layer, you'll understand the difference when we rotate the whole image. So if I come over here to image and I go down to transform, we're going to do the same thing here, only we're going to go counterclockwise 90 degrees. So that means it should be facing upside down when we get done, and it should all still be within the same, it should all be visible inside of the canvas, because we're actually going to rotate the canvas too. So rotate 90 degrees counterclockwise. And I say we're rotating the canvas because we're rotating the image now and not just a single layer. So rotate 90 degrees counterclockwise. Now see how the whole image rotated. You still have your same aspect ratio, but the canvas changed, all the layers changed. If you turn this one off, this one is same orientation. The whole image got rotated. And we went 90 degrees counterclockwise, which made it upside down. So let's see if we can fix that by going up here to image, rotate, well, transform, and then rotate. We're going to go 180 degrees this time, and that's going to put it upright. And so now we have both of our layers facing right side up. Now, what if you wanted to put this at an angle? Well, you would do the same thing. You would just use a different option. We'd go to the images, the image menu, then we'd go to transform, and then we would do an arbitrary rotation. That just means you can put your own degrees in. Now, I'm using a newer version of GIMP on this, and for some reason when I select the rotation tool in the image menu, it's not showing it. But if I click over here on the layer on the image, it pops up. So I don't know if that's a bug or if there's just something that I'm not doing that changed in the newer version or what, but you can see here that when I click on the area that I want to rotate, which in this case it should rotate the whole image, but we'll see. It gives me this little overlay that has, you know, an area, and this, I'm guessing this is your pivot area, which is what it looks like. So when we drag this around, it's going to allow us to pivot around that point. So let's say I wanted to make the whole car pivot around this headlight. I would put that on there, and then when I change the angle, see how it's pivoting on that area? Okay, so I'm going to reset it so that it's in the middle. The idea here is you can exactly rotate it 45 degrees, and because I had the center selected, the default, it centered it, or it rotated it on that center point. Now when I click rotate, what should happen is this canvas should resize itself so that it contains the whole image. Let's see if that happens. It's going to take a few seconds to do this because GIMP's got to do all the math to put it back in there. So now you see that we've rotated the whole image, right? All of the layers rotated together, so the collective layers make up the image. However, the image is different than the canvas, and I've explained that before. I explained it in another video where I demonstrate resizing the canvas, the images, and the layers. So if you want to understand the differences between those better, you can watch that video. But at any rate, that's what rotating the rotating an image in GIMP looks like. There's just one more thing that we can do. If I want to rotate this back, I can come up here to the image menu and I can click transform and arbitrary rotation. I just want to point out that you don't have to do, just a positive number. You can do a negative. So if we want to go minus 90, actually, to get it upright, we would have to go minus 45. But if we go minus 90, it's going to be angled back the opposite direction. So let's rotate it. And you saw that it happened. It rotated it. Now it's just got to do the math to lay everything out around it. And of course the math takes a little bit. So now it's 45 degrees the other direction. So let's straighten that back up by going to image, transform, arbitrary rotation. We'll click what we want to rotate, and then I'm just going to put 45 in here and rotate it. And see, you have your rotation point in here too, so you can put it on an edge just by clicking this tool right here. By default, the center is selected, but if you wanted to rotate it on one of the corners or on a side, the middle of a side, you could do that. Now, it's important to see this because we rotated this 45 degrees, the canvas actually stretched to hold it all. But then when we went back to upright, the canvas did not shrink. So we would have to manually resize that canvas again. Or we could do something else. We could come up here to the image menu and we could come down here and just crop it to the content. What that's going to do is it's going to crop all of the empty pixels around the outside. It's going to cut them off and basically leave us with just the image back like we were before. So that is a demonstration of how you can use the rotation tool to rotate layers and the entire image. However, when you rotate the entire image, you have to understand that it rotates the collective layers inside of the canvas, and if for some reason the canvas needs to expand, it will. But if you want it to go the other direction, you have to specifically tell GIMP that you want to crop the information down to, or you want to crop the canvas down to the size of the image. So I hope that helps, and thanks for watching.